Transcription number 183, speed 100 words per minute. Start. Mr. Vice Chairman, I have introduced the bill some time back in respect of a vital matter which has been engaging the attention of various sections of our society. The matter has been discussed by several forums like various political parties, universities, bar associations, state governments, and so on. The matter is regarding what should be the relationship between states and what should be the relation between the center and the states in our polity. The founding fathers of the Constitution advisedly envisage a two-tier system for the country, one at the center and another at the state level. And they suggested that there should be a coordinating forum to harmonize relations between the union and the states in various fields. India is a very large country and a centralized administration is not compatible with the diversity or the efficiency needed for such a vast country like ours. Article 263 was thought of as a way out to coordinate and harmonize the relations between the center and the states and between the states themselves. Unity and diversity were accepted as natural in a situation like ours, and they provided a device, mechanism, and apparatus to deal with situations which may lead to conflict or controversy between the states and between the union and the center states. Mr. Vice Chairman, India has been divided in the past. The problem of unity was a major concern. At the same time, how to protect the autonomy of the states, the regions, was also important. That was uppermost in the minds of the constitution makers. So, Article 263 was brought in deliberately for this purpose. The constitutional arrangements envisage division of powers between the states and the center. It also envisages common subjects which fall within the purview of both the central government and the state governments. 3 lists were drawn up. There is the union list, there is the state list, and there is the concurrent list. But while working this arrangement in the last 4 decades, there has been a persistent tendency of over-centralization of power, concentration of power in the union government. The union government has been slowly and steadily taking over some of the functions, some of the powers which legitimately belong to the state governments. This caused tension naturally between the center and the states to a great extent. Some of the devices which were introduced to sort out the problems were merely ad hoc in nature. There was no comprehensive method by which the problem of union and state relations was resolved. For instance, in 2012 itself, there was a council dealing with health. Later on, there was a council dealing with local self-government. Further, there was a body to deal with sales tax. These steps were ad hoc in nature. They are not meet the purpose for which this article was introduced in the Constitution. With the enormous increase in the responsibilities and functions of the governments, the conflict between the center and the states became more and more pronounced, and as I said, the power of the center become so large, and the center has been usurping the powers and functions which legitimately belonged to the state governments. Sir, state governments are the means by which central policies and programs are implemented, but over a period of time, the powers and responsibilities given to the state governments stand eroded because of over centralization of powers at the center. I may give a few examples. In the beginning, quite a large area of industry came in the jurisdiction of the state governments, but during the last 3 decades, nearly 85% of all the industries came under the center. Only 15% remain with the state governments. In the case of taxation, all the flexible, elastic sources of revenue came under the purview of the center. The inelastic sources were given to the state governments. In the case of administrative services, all India services, the earlier purpose is not being realized. The purpose was that the All India services should have a national perspective, should serve the nation as a whole without endangering the legitimate interests, the powers, the control of the state governments. But in actual practice, this is not happening. The state governments have lost considerable control over the All India services. They cannot enforce discipline over them, and the All India service personnel working at the state level in a way are a law into themselves. The state ministers and the government at the state level have become powerless to deal with the All India services which are functioning within the state. Take again fiscal matters. The government of India has assumed enormous powers to dole out its assistance to various state governments in its discretion. The discretionary power of the center has increased enormously in giving grants, in giving assistance to the state governments at its will. No norms have been drawn up. Therefore, that ministry could not expect support from the Congress party. Thus, what happened was that, except for the SSP, which was not opposed to a ministry formed or sponsored by the communists, the other parties were clear that they would neither lend their support to nor seek the support of the party in forming a government. In these circumstances, the governor found no possibility of the Communist Party commanding a working majority, even if those of their members who were under detention were allowed to function. Then also expect the SSP, there was nobody else to support them. The governor did not, therefore, call upon the leader of that party to form a government. The governor also explored other possibilities. The decision of the Congress party was not to join with any other party, otherwise Kerala Congress and Congress combined might have had 59 plus some others if they could. In view of the decision of the Congress party not to join with any other party to form a government, and the combined strength of the Kerala Congress, Muslim League, etc.,